Why does it feel so uncomfortable when someone criticizes you? Why does a single negative comment sometimes stay in your mind longer than 100 positive ones? Maybe someone questioned your decisions. Maybe they laughed at your ambition. Maybe they told you that your idea would never work, and in that moment it felt like something inside you tightened. Your confidence shook. Your mind started asking dangerous questions. Am I wrong? Am I wasting my time? Should I stop? But what if that moment means something completely different from what you think? What if criticism is not a sign that you are failing, but a signal that you are finally doing something that matters? Think about this carefully. Most people live their lives unnoticed. They follow safe routines. They repeat the same patterns as everyone around them. They stay quiet, predictable, and comfortable. And because of that, nobody talks about them. Nobody challenges them. Nobody criticizes them. Silence follows the average. But the moment you decide to change your direction, something shifts. The moment you start chasing a goal, improving yourself, building something meaningful, or speaking your truth, the silence disappears. People react. Suddenly opinions appear, doubts appear. Judgments appear, and it can feel like the world is pushing against you. But here is the truth most people never realize. Criticism almost never follows comfort, it follows movement. The moment you begin doing something different, you break an invisible rule. A rule that quietly exists in every group, every community, every environment. The rule says stay the same as everyone else. Do not move too far ahead. Do not stand out too much. Do not challenge the normal path, and when someone breaks that rule, people notice. Psychology explains this clearly. Human beings are wired to protect what feels familiar. When someone steps outside the usual path, it creates discomfort. Your courage becomes a reminder of risks others are afraid to take. Your effort becomes a mirror reflecting possibilities they have ignored, and mirrors can make people uncomfortable. So instead of examining their own hesitation, many people respond with criticism, not because you are wrong, but because your movement disrupts their comfort. Nobody criticizes someone who is doing nothing. Nobody attacks a person who stays silent in the crowd. But the moment you take action, the moment you pursue something meaningful, the moment you step outside the ordinary, reactions begin. This is not a warning sign. It is evidence that you are no longer invisible. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful has faced this moment. A moment where doubt from others grows louder than encouragement. A moment where criticism tries to slow their momentum. And this is exactly where most people stop. They interpret criticism as rejection. They interpret resistance as failure. They interpret negative voices as proof that they should return to safety. But the people who transform their lives see this moment differently. They understand that criticism is not a signal to retreat. It is a sign that they are finally moving in a direction that demands courage, because average actions create quiet lives. But bold actions create reactions. And if people are starting to react to what you are doing, if opinions are forming, if doubts are being spoken, if criticism is appearing around your path, then there is a powerful possibility you need to recognize. You might finally be doing something right, and once you understand this, something inside you begins to shift. The words that once felt like attacks begin to reveal a different meaning. You start to realize that most criticism is not really about you at all. It feels personal. It sounds personal, but in many cases it comes from something deeper inside the person speaking. Human beings constantly compare themselves to others. It happens automatically, often without awareness. Every time someone around us takes a bold step, pursues a dream, or starts improving their life, it quietly challenges everyone watching. Your progress becomes a question they did not plan to answer. Why are they trying when I stayed comfortable? Why are they working so hard when I chose the easy path? Why are they moving forward while I remain exactly where I was yesterday? Those questions create pressure inside the mind, and pressure makes people uncomfortable. But instead of facing that discomfort, the mind searches for the fastest escape. Criticism becomes that escape. When someone says your idea will never work, it may sound like judgment, but underneath those words there is often something else hiding. Fear, doubt, hesitation they feel about their own life. Because when you begin to chase something meaningful, you unintentionally expose the limits others have accepted for themselves. Your ambition reminds them of the risks they avoided. Your discipline reminds them of the effort they postponed. Your courage reminds them of the dream they once had but never pursued. And instead of confronting those uncomfortable reflections, criticism becomes the easier option. If they can convince themselves that your path is foolish, then they never have to question why they chose not to walk it. This is why people often criticize what they secretly respect. Think about it, when something truly means nothing to someone, they ignore it. Indifference requires no energy, but criticism requires attention. It requires emotional investment. It requires someone to watch closely enough to form an opinion. That means something about what you are doing has captured their focus. They are paying attention. They are observing your effort. They are measuring your progress. And sometimes the people who criticize you the loudest are the same people watching you the closest. Not because they want you to fail, but because they are trying to see whether courage actually works. They want to know if your effort will collapse under pressure. They want to see if your determination fades when resistance appears. Because if you quit, it confirms their belief that trying is pointless. But if you continue, something interesting begins to happen. The tone slowly changes. Doubt turns into curiosity. Curiosity slowly turns into quiet observation. And over time, the same voices that once questioned your direction begin to lose their certainty. Not because you argued with them, not because you convinced them with words, but because consistency is powerful. When someone continues to move forward despite criticism, it sends a message stronger than any explanation. It proves that their motivation is real. It proves that their belief is not fragile. It proves that their direction is not controlled by outside opinions. And that kind of strength is impossible to ignore. Time reveals the difference between noise and commitment. Critics rely on quick judgment, quick opinions, quick conclusions, but builders rely on patience. Builders rely on effort repeated again and again, long after the excitement fades. Eventually, patience exposes everything. The people who doubted begin to fade into silence. The voices that once felt overwhelming lose their influence, and the path that once looked uncertain begins to feel stronger beneath your feet. Because the truth becomes clearer with every step you take. Their criticism was never proof that you were wrong. It was proof that you were brave enough to begin. And the moment you truly accept that truth, you begin to see criticism for what it really is. Not an obstacle, but a filter. A powerful filter that quietly separates people who only dream from those who actually act. Everyone has ideas. Everyone imagines a better life at some point. People talk about goals, about plans, about the future they want to build. But ideas are easy when the world is silent. Dreams feel exciting when no one is watching. The real test begins the moment resistance appears. The moment someone questions you. The moment someone doubts you. The moment someone laughs at your effort or predicts your failure. That is the moment when the path splits. One direction leads back to comfort, back to approval, back to the quiet safety of being unnoticed. And most people take that direction without even realizing it. They shrink their ambition. They silence their voice. They adjust their goals until no one feels threatened by them. Not because their dream was impossible, but because the pressure of criticism felt too heavy. Human beings are deeply wired to seek acceptance. From childhood, approval feels like safety. Rejection feels like danger. When people criticize you, your brain interprets that moment almost like physical pain. Studies in neuroscience show that social rejection activates the same regions of the brain as actual injury. That is why criticism can feel so intense. It is not just words. It feels like a threat to belonging, a threat to identity, a threat to the sense that you are supported by the world around you. And because of that feeling, many people retreat the moment criticism arrives. But the people who change their lives understand something different. They recognize that criticism is not a stop sign. It is a test that asks one question that no one else can answer for you. How badly do you want the life you are chasing? Because if the dream is weak, criticism will destroy it quickly. Doubt will enter your mind, and slowly the vision fades. You return to what is safe, what is predictable, what everyone else is already doing. But if the dream is strong, criticism does something else entirely. It sharpens you. Every negative comment becomes resistance. Every doubt becomes pressure. Every judgment becomes a challenge that forces you to grow stronger. And just like muscles grow under resistance, character grows under criticism. This is why the path of growth often feels lonely in the beginning. Not because something is wrong with you, but because most people never pass this stage. They turn around the moment things become uncomfortable. They choose approval over authenticity, comfort over ambition, silence over expression. But the few who continue forward discover something powerful waiting on the other side of that resistance. Mental independence, a moment where you stop needing permission to move. A moment where other people's opinions lose their ability to control your direction. A moment where your progress becomes more important than their approval. And once that independence begins to grow, something changes inside you. The noise around you becomes quieter. Criticism stops feeling like an attack and starts feeling like background sound. It no longer decides your pace. It no longer defines your confidence, because you are no longer walking your path to impress others. You are walking it because you know who you are becoming. And that realization changes everything. You stop asking why people doubt you. You start asking whether you are still moving forward. Because forward movement is the only validation that truly matters. Not applause, not approval, not popularity, just progress. And when you keep moving forward despite criticism, you prove something powerful not just to the world, but to yourself. You prove that your courage is stronger than their doubt. And when you reach that point, something powerful begins to happen inside your mind. The same criticism that once felt heavy starts to feel different. The words no longer control your emotions the way they used to. Instead of shrinking your confidence, they begin to sharpen your focus. Because now you understand something most people never learn. Criticism only has the power you give it. If you absorb every negative opinion and let it live inside your mind, it slowly grows into doubt. Doubt then weakens your actions. And when action becomes weak, progress stops. But if you learn to transform criticism instead of absorbing it, everything changes. Strong minds do not treat criticism as an emotional attack. They treat it as information. They remove the noise, examine the message, and decide what deserves attention and what deserves to be ignored. Some criticism is empty. It comes from people who have never built anything, never risked anything, never tried anything difficult. Their opinions are loud, but they carry no weight. And once you realize that, their words lose their ability to shake your confidence. Other criticism contains truth. Sometimes it exposes a blind spot. Sometimes it reveals a weakness in your strategy. Sometimes it challenges you to grow beyond your current limits. But here is the difference between those who break under criticism and those who rise above it. Weak minds take every comment personally. Strong minds analyze every comment strategically. They ask a better question: is there something here that can make me better? If the answer is yes, they improve. If the answer is no, they move forward without hesitation. This is psychological reframing. Instead of interpreting criticism as rejection, they interpret it as resistance. And resistance is not an enemy of growth. Resistance is the training ground of growth. Think about every area where excellence exists. Whether it is sports, business, art, leadership, or innovation, the people who reach the highest levels always face criticism. The higher someone climbs, the more visible they become, and visibility naturally attracts opinions. Opinions turn into judgments. Judgments turn into criticism. But the people who succeed do not waste energy fighting every voice around them. They understand something far more powerful. Results speak louder than arguments. While critics are talking, they are working. While critics are predicting failure, they are improving. While critics are watching from the outside, they are building something from the inside. And over time, something remarkable begins to happen. The noise fades. Not because the critics suddenly become supporters, but because consistent action slowly replaces doubt with proof. When results appear again and again, opinions lose their influence. Success becomes its own answer. Some voices disappear completely, others quietly change their tone. Some even begin to claim they believed in you all along, but by that point, something even more valuable has already formed inside you. Self-trust. Self-trust is the ultimate freedom. It means you no longer depend on the approval of others to keep moving. Your direction is guided by your values, your effort, and your vision of the future. And when self-trust becomes strong enough, criticism stops feeling like a wall in your path. It becomes just another sound in the background of your progress. So when people criticize you, do not panic, do not retreat, do not let their words define your limits. Observe the criticism, learn what you can from it. Then continue moving forward with even greater clarity, because the truth is simple. People who remain average live quiet lives, but people who dare to rise will always face noise along the way. And if that noise is starting to surround your path, there is a powerful reason behind it. It means you are moving in a direction that demands courage, and courage always attracts attention. Streaming interrupted, waiting for the complete message.